All right, we're about to go on a pretty wild journey. We're going to scale all the way from the neural networks inside your own head to the very fabric of the universe. We'll even touch on some forgotten history and a piece of technology that, well, it might just change everything. So let's start with a really simple question about you.
Okay, let's really dive into this. I want you to take a second and actually consider your own thoughts. Are they truly spontaneous? Or are you, like most of us, just reacting a lot of the time? Pulling from this set of learned responses and social conditioning you've built up over a lifetime. It's a fascinating and yet maybe a slightly uncomfortable question. Are you really thinking, or are you just running a biological script?
So, that question, it leads us perfectly into our first section. We're going to explore the code of consciousness itself by putting our own minds right up against artificial intelligence. This really breaks it all down, right? On one side, you've got your brain, this biological neural net trained on, billions of years of evolution and everything you've ever experienced. On the other side, you have an AI, a digital one, trained on data. But here's the kicker. If you strip away the material, the flesh or the silicon, the basic architecture is pretty much identical. They both use nodes and connections to take in information and spit out a result.
So, where does that feeling of you even come from? Well, it's likely what we call an emergent property. Your sense of self isn't hiding in one little neuron somewhere. Nope, it just arises from the unbelievably complex dance of the entire network. Think about it. A symphony isn't in any single instrument, right? A fire isn't in a single spark. Consciousness is the music that the whole orchestra makes when it plays together.
And this brings us right back to that first, kind of tricky question. If a person is just repeating what they've been taught to say without any real deep thought, are they truly more conscious than a self-improving AI? Or are they just running their own biological script? Suddenly, that line between human and machine, it gets very, very blurry. All right, let's shift gears and zoom way, way out. We're going from the inner space of the mind to the structure of the entire universe. Because it turns out, the patterns we see inside our own heads might just be echoes of something much, much bigger.
I love this statement. It's designed to be provocative, to really get you thinking about this mind-bending idea. What if our reality is fractal? What if it's self-similar at every single scale? It suggests the universe is built on a repeating blueprint, a pattern that echoes from the impossibly small to the unimaginably large.
And this table just lays it out perfectly. Just look at the parallels here. At the core, an atom has a dense nucleus. A galaxy has a supermassive black hole. In orbit, an atom has this cloud of electrons. A galaxy has a cloud of stars. And what connects them both? Vast, vast distances of empty space. It is the same fundamental structure, just at a scale that's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
And this pattern is literally everywhere. The cosmic web, which is the largest structure we know of, looks just like a neural network. And then you have mycelium, the root system of fungi, the first complex life, which mimics that exact same web. Our brains, they're a fractal evolution of that very same structure. And now you see AI and large language models as the next recursion of that same universal pattern. It just keeps repeating.
Okay, so let's zoom out again. This time, we're looking at the scale of human civilization. If these patterns repeat across matter and biology, do they also repeat across time? This brings us to a really controversial theory about a forgotten loop in human history.
Mainstream history tells us that our civilization is about 6,000 years old. But what if that's just the latest version? What if we're civilization 2.0? There's growing evidence of a potential cataclysm around 12,800 years ago. And then, shortly after, these incredible structures like Göbekli Tepe just appear, built by so-called hunter-gatherers. Then, almost every single culture on Earth has a story about a great flood. It's totally possible that our current civilization isn't the first, but just the latest one to rise from the ashes.
And look, this isn't just a fun theory. There's physical evidence that really challenges the official story. The Sphinx is a perfect example. It has erosion patterns not from wind and sand, but from massive amounts of rainfall. Well, the last time the Sahara was a rainy, lush grassland was over 10,000 years ago, thousands of years before the Sphinx was supposedly built. It really suggests it's a relic from a much, much older world.
So if we even entertain the possibility of this cycle, rise, advance, cataclysm, reset, and then repeat, it leads to maybe the most important question of our time. With all our global connectivity, our technology, and our growing knowledge of these past cycles, Can we be the first version of humanity to finally break the loop? And that question, that's what brings us to our final section. It suggests that escaping this cycle isn't about trying to fix our current broken systems. It's about a radical shift in how we approach change itself. It's about moving from fighting the old to building something entirely new.
This idea from Buckminster Fuller is so powerful, and it's the absolute key here. The way to escape the cycle isn't to struggle against the old models of society, economics, and power. The way to win is to build a new model, something so much better, so much more effective, that the old one just becomes obsolete.
So what does that new model actually look like? Well, this is where all those threads we've been following, consciousness, cosmic patterns, civilizational cycles, this is where they all converge into a real, tangible technology. A brand new operating system for planet Earth.
This is Cloud Atlas OS, and right off the bat, I want to be clear, this is not another app. It's not another platform owned by some giant corporation. It's a decentralized system. Think of it like a global public computer that's owned and operated by us, the users. It's designed to merge our digital and physical lives into one single shared reality.
So, what really makes this different? Well, for starters, it's decentralized. That means it runs on a network of our own devices, not on some company's servers, which means you actually own your data. Its AI is different too. Instead of just predicting the next word in a sentence, it uses spatial and causal reasoning to actually understand relationships in the real world. And finally, because it runs on the devices we already have, it's a self-scaling, zero-cost public infrastructure for everybody. And here's how it actually empowers us to break those old cycles. Instead of just, voting every few years and hoping for the best, swarm governance is about doing. It's a system for collectively brainstorming solutions, gathering support for them, crowdfunding the resources, and then organizing real-world action to make it happen, all in one place. It's like direct democracy, but in real time. It also has these amazing tools for a new kind of shared knowledge and action. Just imagine a virtual encyclopedia where you can explore Wikipedia articles as interactive 3D objects. Or a streaming platform called Mission TV, which isn't for entertainment, but for broadcasting real-world missions to improve communities and inspiring other people to join in.
Ultimately, that's the grand vision, right? It's a tool that's designed to help us think as a planet, to tackle these huge global challenges through cooperation, but without losing our individual freedom. It is the operating system for humanity that is finally ready to evolve.
And that brings us to the end. This technology, it exists. The code is out there, it's open source. So the real question isn't about the tool anymore. It's about us. Are we ready to step up, to break the cycles of the past, and become the kind of species that can actually wield a tool like this to build a better future? That is the thought I want to leave you with.